Some of you may be receiving a poll. We're just trying to collect some data around lunch without lunch to get a better understanding of our numbers and our people. So if you're able to fill out those polls or give any context to them, always appreciated. Bridget, do you want to speak any more to the polls?
No, other than just curious who's here. So if you are responding please private message me if you don't mind as to what you do identify with, because I just want to make sure we are capturing all angles. And yeah, another shout out to Bow Valley. Thanks for showing up, students. Woohoo.
Yeah, so we have a whole bunch of Bow Valley College students from the Tech Skills Initiative program here in the room with us today. So if you are from that, you can use maybe the little reaction button and give us a thumbs up if you're here from the Tech Skills Initiative program, either past or current. Awesome. So Christina and Arda are here. So Christina's kind of the program facilitator. Arda is the instructor. I'm just trying to go between pages. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining us today. Oh, Evolve U learners are here too. Oh my goodness, we've got a day full of learners. Maybe not the thumbs up, maybe use like the wave reaction. If you're Evolve U, past or present, or an instructor. Awesome. Perfect. Fantastic. Good stuff. Great. Thanks everyone for joining us today. I am just going to do a quick intro for us. Hold on a minute. I got to get on all the right things here. Appreciate everybody showing up today, spending their lunch hour with us. We should maybe do a poll where like, did you have lunch before, after, or during? That could be a good poll. So.
It always blows my mind how few people are eating.
Oh, maybe they just eat in secret. All right. So welcome for those who are new today and those who are returning. So reminder, you can tag us online at Rainforest AV or Rainforest YEG if you're in the Edmonton area, and we use the hashtag LWOL Lunch Without Lunch on Twitter. So just a couple things as we get going today. If you click participants, you can find your name to use the raise hand function, or you can just type in the chat that you've got a comment or a question. And then we'll let you know when it's your turn to speak. A reminder that, yeah, if we do use, so using the poll features, that they are totally anonymous. And then we do capture the chat afterwards and clean it up in any of the resources, and we post them in the lunch notes channel on Slack. We're also capturing the videos and putting them up on our YouTube. Correct, Bridget? Correct. I got into the thumbs up. Perfect. So we are a world-class community, truly, and we are building the innovation ecosystem. And our goal is to really amplify the culture around that and the connections and to support each other. And we are really rooted in the values of collaboration in community. And the most important one, which comes up over and over, is trust. And we do that really by trying to amplify the voices of the people who are in our community and that storytelling component, which is why we're bringing on guest speakers and have been bringing on guest speakers, not only to talk about what they do, but then to talk about the people that they've been working with. So also really important. So you'll hear about that today. So we talk about the pillars of the innovation ecosystem, and this, when you add it all up, it adds up to 100. And so we're working towards a score of getting up to 80%. Essentially, we decided, and I say we, as in the community, decided that 80% is a passing grade in the rainforest, to know that we're really making waves and ripples. And so we're at about like 68% right now. So we have a little ways to go, but these are the 6 areas that we're trying to impact and do work in, and recognizing that people have strengths in all the different areas, and that people have perceptions of all these areas. And so we do a scorecard measurement every year. So we ask questions about these pillars and to try to get a measurement from the community and how we're doing. And the scorecard is going to be launching tomorrow. So hot news. Scorecard's launching tomorrow. It'll be open for a couple weeks. We also talk about the social contract. So the social contract expands on the pillars, but really it's the social contract is that day-to-day stuff that we do. It's the day-to-day embodiment of the values of the ecosystem, and it's what we actually put into practice. And again, the whole idea that we all have strengths and weaknesses, but that we can, as a community, take these 10 values and move us forward and build up that trust bucket, and really move the needle around how we build as an innovation ecosystem. So, and just a little reminder, the rainforest is an analogy. So we are wild and untamed spaces. We are here to experiment. We are here to have cycles of growth and stagnation, and it is a-okay when things die. But rainforests are complementary and they support each other. And that's the most important part, is that we're thriving and learning off of each other. So just quickly, I want to share this. So just as a quick reminder, so this month we're talking about resources. We're talking about programming, we're talking about capital, we're talking about customer discovery. So, if you're a startup, if you're an entrepreneur, what is out there to support you? And so today we're really kind of focused on that like -2 to 1 phase. And we're going to hear from 3 speakers today. We're just going to introduce them in just a minute. About how they fit into the innovation ecosystem and how they support entrepreneurs in their growth. So just wanted to throw that up there, as that is what we are chatting about. So that being said, we have 55 people here today. Thank you, students, for bolstering our numbers. How many people, just with the reactions, who's here from the Edmonton region today? Just curious. Trevor, wasn't sure how many people I saw from the Edmonton region today. Trevor, you are the lone representative of the Edmonton region. Oh, Francois, I see. Anyone else? If you have no idea how to use the reactions, you can just type your name in the chat. So, oh, April, good. Good. We got a few people. It's kind of, oh, Rick. Sorry, when you're trying to like go between 2 screens, it's hard to see. Oh, there's 3 screens actually. Oh my goodness. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you. I'm going to pass it over to Bridget. She's going to introduce our co-host today, and go from there. I'm clearly not feeling sharp today. Maybe I should have had that 3rd cup of coffee. Go, Bridget.
I think I've had too much. Okay, we have 3 speakers, like Courtney said, joining us. I'm going to introduce all 3, and then I guess we'll just go in the order that I've introduced you folks. If you want to prepare your presentations and give a good wave while I introduce you. So we have Justin from the League of Innovators. He's the Alberta market manager for them, and he's working to inspire and help youth entrepreneurs turn their ideas into viable businesses. Justin has a master's in management, innovation, and entrepreneurship from the Smith School of Business. And before joining the LOI team, Justin launched and scaled Justin Macer, I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right, Justin, Fitness into the Fitness Foundation, a private training and high performance fitness studio in BC. After exiting that business, he started, and he's still currently working on Shackify Inc., which offers camper conversion kits for minivans and SUVs. Very cool. Then we have Tiffany Matson. She's the business development manager in Southern Alberta for Futurepreneur Canada. That's a nonprofit organization that helps young entrepreneurs start businesses. And I think the definition of young there is under 40, but I'm sure Tiffany will tell us more. She works with aspiring entrepreneurs to turn their dreams into a reality by aligning them with free resources, financing, and mentorship. Her education and background is primarily in HR management. However, during her corporate career, she also started a baby shoe company and flipped real estate on the side. And I found out this week that Tiffany's one of few crazy people who surf the Kananaskis River, which is very cool. Then we have Jenny Yu. joining us from the Government of Canada, the Department of Public Services and Procurement Canada. She joined in 2009 and is a dynamic and passionate public servant with extensive experience in government procurement and outreach. Jenny thrives on the curating and sharing of ideas and looks forward to applying her attributes and experience in supporting businesses, innovation priorities, and the Office of Small Medium Enterprise Projects. I feel like a radio announcer when I read through the bios like that, but it gives you a good idea of who we have here. And Justin, I think I'll pass it off to you if you need to share your screen. Hopefully you have that capability. We'll go from there.
Boom, can everybody see me? Fantastic. Thank you for having me, everyone. It is great to be here. Excited to share what we do and share a bit of a success story from the Calgary community. But first, always love to get the chat going here. What was the number one thing that everybody took away from their weekend? Me, I found this hat in my Opus basement. It's probably from like 50 years ago, so I'm loving that. But yeah, so drop that in and I'll get going while those messages are flying in. I won at cards. Good. Fantastic. All right, so for those of you who have not heard of the League of Innovators yet, what we are is a national organization that runs incubator and accelerator programs and discovery programs for youth to try and get them involved in entrepreneurship or learn the entrepreneurial mindset or really use those skills that are frankly essential now, especially since COVID hit. So learning how to manage their own time and all of that. So yeah. Just to dig in, so who we are. So our vision is from discovery to acceleration. We're mobilizing the next generation of entrepreneurs to build tomorrow's businesses today with a social purpose and entrepreneurial mindset. So how we do that is through a series of different programs, like I mentioned before. So this is kind of our program funnel that we have to offer youth entrepreneurs. We have our Innovators Academy, which is geared towards mainly high school age students. So that teaches all the essential skills that they need to start their own business, but also teach them the skills they need to be a solid entrepreneur or learn how to manage their time and all of that. So essentially this platform is an online platform where individual students can come online. There's 15 modules, I believe, of varying topics from the why, start with the problem, not the solution, all the way up to kind of how to finance your startup. And we also have educators resources. So we've put together platforms and learning modules for the teachers to actually teach in the classroom from coast to coast. So we're working to get that in the classroom now, which is going to be an awesome resources for teachers, especially if things go remote even more, which it's, well, crazy times. So awesome resources to keep the kids engaged and going for. And then we have virtual camps, which has replaced our crash courses, which are courses where we go into the classrooms, personally myself, and teach different sessions, whether it's a week long, a 1 hour session. So we're doing those in virtual camp style now. And then we have our foundations program, which is kind of your idea to action program. It's an 8-week program where essentially we teach them the first steps that they should take in their business all the way up to their MVP, or teach them the way to get to their MVP. And then what LOI started with was our Labs Incubator program, which is, or Accelerator program, sorry, which is a 12-week program where we bring youth from across the country into a virtual setting where we bring in AMAs with serial entrepreneurs. We have mentors, we have entrepreneurs in residence. We have really just give them access to resources that they might not have. And then we have Boost. So after they finish labs, it's kind of, you always get that what's next. So I'm going to go over a couple different what's next today. But essentially Boost is our internal one. So once they've hit that kind of $1 million in revenue or bootstrapped 500K in revenue, it's looking at new problems, how to manage your team for the first time and that kind of thing. So that's kind of the program funnel for LOI. And I think I forgot to mention, but we specifically work with youth. So under 25 is our definition of youth. And yeah. And if anybody has questions, feel free to drop it in the chat there. But one of the things that we're most proud about is our ventures, because they are awesome and they are doing amazing things. Youth is definitely not a hindrance. They are passionate and ready to fire on all cylinders. So we're excited to work with them along the way. Now, I chose today's success story based on awesome Calgary community experience. So the company that I'm talking to you about today is called Jam. They are based out of Calgary. It's a group of university students that go to the U of C, Jackson Cooper, Huda Abba, Maggie Tai, and Alex Lamb. And what they are doing is, I'm just going to quote them because they say it much better than I do, is Jam is leveraging AI to scrape publicly available data, providing them detailed analytics relating to a company's sustainability efforts and efforts of their competition. So essentially what that means is they're trying to automate processes and everything for what they first started off with. The problem they were looking at was fake news. So COVID came out and there was a lot of news out there that was wrong and whatever. So they were trying to use AI to weed out the fake news, make a platform where you can trust the information that is in front of you on social media and in things like Google. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about their story on how they came to LOI. So the first thing, as a youth group of friends, they went to a bunch of hackathons and they did quite well in them, but they noticed that there's all these great ideas going into hackathons, but nothing comes out of it. AKA, they don't start a business. They just, here's the idea and nobody actually pulls the trigger and goes on it. So they saw that as a problem. So they went through a hackathon, and the fake news is one of the things that they came up with. So they took that idea, they formed Jam, and then they went to Platform Calgary. So at Platform, they went to the summer program, and essentially it's your summer job. It's an awesome program. Basically, they pay you what you would probably get if you got a summer job in order to work on your business. And then they give you all the guidance that you could possibly need. So in that time, they were looking to combat the fake news in the world. So they did hundreds of market research or informational interviews within the community of Calgary, and they realized that what they were trying to solve was not viable for them. They didn't find a very accessible business model to it. So, but they made that realization at the end of the program of the summer. So they're kind of like, what's next? So they started digging around, talking to Platform, Mike at Platform, and other programs that they were engaged with, and they found us at LOI. So they applied to our labs program, which they made a pivot. And one of the things, so what they've pivoted to is ESG and sustainability. And in the time between Platform and labs, what they've done is they've just are about to sign, I can't mention who it is, yeah, they signed their first contract with a large company to work on sustainability and ESG using the same AI product that they were using for the fake news. So kind of how they can use everything they've done and move forward. So I spoke with Jackson yesterday, who's one of the leads on our program for Jam. He's taking most of the courses, and this is what he had to say. So our time with Platform and the League of Innovators kept us accountable, gave us support and the confidence in order to pivot and make key changes in our business. So what I wanted to highlight here is by the time they were done Platform, the program was done, but they felt like they could go back to Platform and talk to them for support at any point in time. And then they also connected them to the next step, which was for that particular program, labs, where they felt like they had someone to talk to and give them access to resources. So that's essentially one of the success stories that I wanted to point out, just kind of how the system is kind of working and how it can continue to work if we all work together and share resources and connect people together. But yeah, so Jam's still plugging away and they're super excited. They just got they just signed 4 interns using a program from SATE, I believe, as well. So another thing in there. But yeah, that's my story. I think I'm about my 7 minutes. Hopefully I didn't go over. And I'll drop the League of Innovators website in here too, if anybody wants to check out, and my email. So if you want to reach out and learn more about LOI, feel free to shoot me a message. I love coffee, so virtual coffee works too. And I'll stop sharing.
Thanks, Jeremy. Did we lose Courtney? I'm wondering. I think we might have lost Courtney. Are you there, Courtney? Okay. Anyway, does anybody have questions for Justin right now? Amazing success story of like activating all the resources in the ecosystem that they possibly could. So that's amazing. Oh, she's here. She's here somewhere. There you are. Any questions at the moment or comments?
Question. Do you have to attend the hackathon to be eligible for the summer program?
No.
Wow,
No.
that is an unbelievable program. Let's talk.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think they took like 25 people or 26 people, and it's like equivalent of a summer job. So it's really cool. It's more than I made in a summer job. I think it was like $7,000 or $8,000 for the summer.
Wow.
If anybody's from platform here, they can correct me. But yeah, no, it's an awesome program for students.
Very cool. Okay, well, please think on those questions, and we will pass it over to Tiffany. Are you ready to roll, Tiffany?
I am getting there. Can you see my screen? Perfect. Okay. So my name is Tiffany. I'm the Business Development Manager for Futurepreneur Canada. I'm going to be talking to you a little bit today about financing your business and kind of going into some of the details regarding, check the time, and kind of going into some of the details regarding collateral and non-collateral financing. And if you have further questions regarding what I do, I'm going to put my email and an ability to book time on my calendar in the link in the chat room when I'm finished. So Futurepreneur helps young entrepreneurs between the ages of 18 and 39 in primarily these three ways. So the first is free resources. We have cash flow projection templates, as well as a business plan writer that makes it super, super easy to build those two things. I know that within the tech world, we're doing a lot more of different types of canvases or pitch decks, but when you're looking for financing, it's still that you're still required a business plan. So if you are interested in getting financing, it's a great, go onto our website and you can find the business plan writer there. The second thing that we do is we provide financing between $5,000 and $60,000 of financing, and this is not non-collateral financing, and we're going to go into that in a little bit. The third thing that we do is we provide free mentorship. So if you receive financing through Futurepreneur, you'll be connected to a community leader for 2 years of free mentorship. If you have any further questions regarding what Futurepreneur does, again, don't hesitate to reach out to me. So talking about collateral versus non-collateral financing, the first thing that I want to mention is that collateral is basically when you're going into a bank and you're getting a loan, you're putting it up against your assets. This could be a house or a car or other investments. The difference between a non-collateral financing, it is still personally guaranteed, but your credit is pulled and it does impact your credit score. But, well, we'll move along, but it's not going against like your house or your car. So some things that I'd like to kind of touch base on is the landing on the moon. So what I say about this is that if you're an entrepreneur and you contact a financial institution that is taking collateral, you're going to say, I'd love to start this business. This is my idea. They're going to say, how much is your house worth? How much is your car worth? How much is your assets worth? You're going to give them X amount of dollars. They're going to say, okay, here's a loan for X amount of dollars. Good luck. We hope you land on the moon. But whether or not you land on the moon, they're getting paid because they now have equity in your home or in your vehicle. So the myth of non-collateral financing, contrary to that, is that if you get non-collateral financing, it doesn't impact you personally at all. If that was the case, everybody, including myself, would open an incorporation, take out a loan, try out a business, and if it didn't work, close up that incorporation and move on with life. It's not something that truly exists for brand new businesses that haven't built up that credit for themselves. So the third thing I'm going to discuss too is just buying collateral, and I'm going to speak a little bit more on this, but I did want to introduce one of the companies that Futurepreneur has supported in the past. This is Granville Biomedical. Granville Biomedical is a really amazing company. They essentially, from these pictures below, they developed the ability to recreate the female anatomy. And in doing so, they've created a model that can be stitched and unstitched repeated amount of times. Currently in education systems, to train nurses and doctors, they're using cow tongues and sponges to practice how to suture up essentially the female anatomy after childbirth. So Granville Biomedical has developed this technology that allows you to go in and truly stitch up something, a recreation of the female anatomy, and do it repeatedly. So you can take out the stitching and redo it. Now, since COVID, they have pivoted, so they are making swabs for COVID, and they're currently going through the process to potentially get, to be able to sell the swabs in Canada. And I'm sure maybe Jenny's going to speak a little bit more on that later. They also have sent these models all over the world. They also go to countries where there has been female mutilation of the genitalia, and they teach about the consequences of that and help to inform and provide knowledge to communities across the globe. So they're a really innovative company. So I can't talk specifics in regards to like the financing that they received. They openly talk about getting financing through Futurepreneur. But what I will say is, as an example with collateral and non-collateral financing, in this situation, Granville Biomedical, I'm not saying they did, but I'm saying they could buy collateral. That means that they come to us, they get a non-collateral loan. It is only personally guaranteed. We give them $60,000. With that $60,000, they could buy a 3D printer, for example. Maybe they buy 5 free 3D printers, and that 5 3D printers is worth $60,000. Now those 5 3D printers become an asset to the company, and they can go back to another financial institution and get financing using the collateral that they've purchased through Futurepreneur Canada. So essentially what that does is it turns $60,000 into $120,000. So I want to talk a little bit about, but I want an investor for my company. This is what I want. So an important thing that you should know about financing, and sometimes an investor is important right off the bat. It depends on what you're trying to do. But if you build the value of your company using financing, then it could mean the difference of selling 30% of your company for $50,000. Oh, sorry. I don't know what happened there. Or selling 5% of your company for $300,000. So, and in that, those numbers are just complete examples, but it's the difference that when you build the company value on your own, then it's worth more to an investor. Once you have proven sales, once you have, you know, a bigger reach, once you have a bigger following, once you are making more revenue, more profit, it becomes more valuable to an investor. So even though taking financing is, you know, is a risk, it is in the long run allows your business to become more valuable when you're going and presenting it to investors. So you can get more money out of the company. So again, here is my email address. With Futurepreneur Canada, that's exactly what we're doing, is providing that financing in a non-collateral way. As a reminder, that means it is still personally attached to your credit. However, we don't have assets in your house or in your vehicle. We're a national nonprofit organization. And so, yes, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. Was I under time? Wow, I'm impressed. Okay, thank you guys so much.
Who has questions, comments? There cannot possibly be over 60 people in the room and nothing to say. We have a question from Brent. Brent, feel free to unmute and share your question with Tiffany.
I see that there. So you're describing receiving a non-collateral loan. Are there decent terms and conditions? Our interest rates for the loan are comparable to other financial institutions because we're a nonprofit organization. We're basically federally and provincially funded, and as well as we're backed by bigger banks. So for example, there's banks that help us in certain ways. Maybe they support our program, or for example, we're partners with the BDC. $20,000 is through Futurepreneur and $40,000 is through the BDC. And they do that because maybe the entrepreneurs, they don't meet that mandate. If you're a financial institution, likely, I can't say 100% of the time, that's something you need to discover for yourself because we're partners with the financial institutions. I don't want to say that they always require collateral, but a lot of the time they require collateral. So they can't find young entrepreneurs. And if you don't own a house or you don't own a car, that essentially means that how do you start a business? So Futurepreneur then comes into place to allow you to build that credit as a business and personally, so that the next time you need a loan, you're going to TD, ATB, BDC, RBC, any financial institution essentially to get financing. And one different thing that I will say regarding the terms and conditions, it's pretty good. You only pay interest for the first year and then you start paying the remainder of the loan. So yeah, the first year you're just building your business. And secondly, I forget what I was going to say, but yeah, it's really comparable to what other banks are offering right now. It's not higher interest. Oh, our interest rate remains the same. So regardless if you're a high risk business or a low risk business, you're paying the same interest rate. Whereas if you go into a bank and you have a higher risk business, your interest rate can be 17%. You know, like you have a brick and mortar that's really high risk, you can pay a ridiculous amount of interest. Whereas with Futurepreneur, everybody that gets a loan is receiving the same exact interest rate.
Okay, I don't see any other questions there. We'll jump over to Jenny and then we can have a broader conversation. Thank you, Tiffany. Sorry, it's rude. You ready, Jenny? Are you muted, Jenny, or just getting ready?
Yeah, I'm muted and I tried to
Okay.
unmute, but I think there was a lag, so I apologize for that. If I can just get either some auditory or visual confirmation that you can see my presentation.
We see your notes too, so if you want to put it into presentation mode, we could see your slides better.
Yeah,
Right.
I think there might be a lag. It's showing presentation
Okay.
on my end, but
Maybe
if
there's
you guys
just
are
a
okay
lag.
with it. Can you see it now?
Yeah, it's in presentation mode now.
Perfect. Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. Sorry about that lag. It's a pleasure to be here with you today at the Rainforest Alberta Lunch Without Lunch event. My name is Jenny Yu, and I'm with the Department of Public Services and Procurement Canada, Government of Canada. Special thanks to Courtney, Bridget, and the Rainforest team for this successful series of events and all the important work that you do in connecting everyone in the innovation ecosystem. I'm very pleased to join Justin and also Tiffany in sharing some resources for everyone today. I'm here representing the Office of Small and Medium Enterprises. You'll actually hear me refer to it as OSME for short quite often. OSME is part of the Department of Public Services and Procurement Canada, which is essentially the procurement arm of the Government of Canada. OSME helps entrepreneurs, small and medium enterprises, and small businesses essentially learn how the Government of Canada buys goods and services and supports small and medium enterprises in learning how to navigate the federal procurement process so that you can explore ways to make the government one of your clients. We have 6 regional offices throughout Canada and our services are free to Canadians. I'm personally part of the Western Regional team, which covers Nunavut, Northwest Territories, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta as well. Entrepreneurs and businesses may not think of the Government of Canada as a potential client, but the truth is the Government of Canada buys over $22 to $25 billion worth of goods and services every single year. Now, the majority of these purchases are actually from micro, small, and medium enterprises than they are from larger enterprises or corporations. And that represents a lot of business opportunities if you have not considered selling your good or service to the Government of Canada. So often, like when you do think of the Government of Canada, if at all as a potential client, you might see it as a single buyer, but in fact, we're comprised of over 100 departments and agencies, each with unique needs and locations. And it is highly likely that the Government of Canada already buys what you offer and or has a need for it. So sure, there are contracts awarded to big firms and companies. However, the big ticket items, so to speak, are only a small percentage of the purchases made and contracts awarded. Oftentimes, obviously, it's what's reported in the media that catches our attention. So for example, fighter jets or shipbuilding services are at the forefront of our minds. And we forget about the wider range of goods and services that are bought on a daily basis to help departments and agencies operate and also serve Canadians. And yes, of course, there are some common commodities when you think of what the government buys, but have you also thought about, you know, a lot of the other things that we're buying, like right here showing on this slide in the smaller text. And what's showing right here is only the tip of the iceberg. The list goes on and on. It's really a wide range of things that we buy, and there's definitely a need for the type of goods or service that smaller businesses sell. Again, to reiterate the amount annually, the government actually spends over $22 to $25 billion annually on purchasing goods and services. And there's a huge chance that the government already buys what you're currently offering. And the Office of Small and Medium Enterprises is here to show you how to explore those opportunities through information sessions, one-on-one consultations for a more tailored to your commodity or business approach, assistance workshops, and more, such as outreach activities like through partners like Rainforest Alberta today. Another cool part of what we get to do is also raise awareness of cool programs and initiatives, such as an innovation funding program like the Department of National Defense Ideas Program. It's exactly how it sounds and exactly how it's spelled, but actually stands for Innovation for Defense Excellence and Security, which is honestly essentially the Department of National Defense or the Canadian Armed Forces publishing their unclassified problem statements and inviting Canadian innovators to the table to help solve. There are different elements and funding to the actual program, and it ranges from innovation networks, competitive projects, contests, sandboxes, and test drives. And all of those involve different types of funding or buckets of money that you can access. The program mandate includes focus areas such as recruiting innovators, supporting innovation, and mature innovative ideas into products and solutions. All different types of SRL or TRL levels are welcome. It's a highly unprecedented and collaborative program that's truly, there's nothing like it. And traditionally, government hasn't done something like this in the past. So this is going to happen for the next 20 years. We are in about year 2 of it, and there's already $1.6 billion committed. There's a seminar next Tuesday, October 20th, that will provide for an overview of the program and also share with you the latest set of challenges or calls for proposals. So I highly encourage you to attend that, because the next set of challenges will be published very soon, and you'll want to know about the program in order for you to apply or at least submit your solution for consideration. And speaking of webinars, here are the ones that are coming up next in the next 3 Tuesdays, if you will. 2 of them are in partnership with Rainforest Alberta. I'll share the information with Courtney and Bridget and their team and also pop it into the chat. I highly encourage you to register for them to learn how your ideas can help enhance Canada's defense and security capabilities, and of course, learn how to become a direct vendor to the Government of Canada and promote yourself to over 100 plus prospective clients and more. The one on October 27th is basically taking a chance to demystify any whether actualized or perceived barriers that you may still have in trying to add the government or consider them as a client in your portfolio. And the November 3rd session is giving you some more tangible takeaways by providing you with tips and tricks on different databases and indexes that you can register yourself on in order to increase your company's visibility and let the government know of your supply capabilities, plus some tips and tricks and best practices in finding opportunities. All right, so that concludes my part of the presentation. Hopefully I've planted enough seeds to generate some interest on selling to the government of Canada. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly and or reach out to the Rainforest Alberta team. We can connect. And again, I'll pop the links to registering for those seminars that I mentioned into the chat. And thank you for your time today.
Thanks a lot, Jenny. How about if folks reach out right now? Who has questions, or does anybody in the room have experience with any of these programs or ones that were mentioned that they might want to share?
Yeah, I see some familiar faces here.
I have a question.
Absolutely. Please go ahead.
It's great to see the federal level involvement like this programs. Are you going and talking to the provincial and the municipalities about trying to do something similar, because they continually don't try to do a buy local approach? They tend to want to do a program where they're putting everything out to tender and they're not putting a buy local ingredient into their decision making.
I love that question, Peter, and thank you very much for asking it. And the short answer to your question would be yes. And then to elaborate on it would be a couple of yeses. So yes, in that there is something called CCPI, and it stands for Canadian Collaborative Procurement Initiative, that actually leverages the buying power and also combines all the different levels of government, you know, provincial, territorial, municipal, and onboarded certain commodities that would be of interest, like you mentioned, to streamline the process as well, right? So that's one of the yeses. The other yes would be there's definitely events that are pending and also have been ongoing and will be upcoming, where we basically present 3 governments or multi-governments, but 1 procurement seminar, by helping illustrate, 1, the differences in how governments buy and also some of the similarities. So speaking from a federal level, the way that the federal government buys, whether it's directly done by governments, departments or agencies, or let's say by the common service provider department like ours, it still needs to be done the same way and abide by Treasury Board policies, federal laws and regulations, and so forth. So on a federal level, how we buy, if you will, has to abide by the most stringent rules. So I'm not saying that that will mirror how other municipalities, provincial, territorial governments do it. But let's say if you've already gained some proficiency in navigating the federal procurement system, there is very likely that there's transferable knowledge that can be applied to when you're also exploring opportunities with selling to other levels of government as well. And the types of service that we provide, whether through one-on-one consultation or through our webinars, will address that as well. So thank you for asking that question, Peter, because it helps me set it up to tell everyone else as well. So I hope that answered your question.
Thank you. It was great.
So if there are no other questions for now, I'll hand it back to the host. I'll hand it back to Bridget and Courtney. Thank you, everyone.
Any other questions or comments or stories to share? See, Gary has mentored for both LOI and Futurepreneurs, so that's awesome.
I think Adam has a question.
Yeah.
Awesome.
No, just wanted to shout out to Jenny, because yeah, I'm currently in the kind of research and exploration phase on a new tech startup, hardware based, and we're looking like there's probably a good opportunity to get some government funding. And yeah, if you're looking for something like that, Jenny was really helpful. She pointed us and gave us a huge list of all the best resources to chase after. So yeah, just a shout out on that. Very, very valuable.
Okay, I can talk a little bit about the mentor side. It was a good experience for me. I mentored 5 groups over the last 3 years. Of the 5, 4 are still up and running. One of them is doing absolutely amazing. Mostly not thanks to me, but thanks to all the support and whatnot the communities have given them. And this is all the way across Canada. One of the guys that I spend the most time with is out of Kingston. And he's in the food industry of all things, which I know nothing about. So great programs.
Thank you so much, Gary, for mentoring. We really appreciate it. And we're lucky to have people like you.
Yes, I ditto that.
Are you guys looking for
And if you're
mentors?
interested in mentoring also, you can contact me and I will definitely set you up. I'm going to leave my contact information in the chat now and the ability to book time on my calendar.
And same with LOI. We are looking for some mentors as well. We've kind of restructured our whole mentor program. So yeah, feel free to reach out to me if you're looking to give back to some youth entrepreneurs.
All righty. Well, thank you everybody for taking part. We'll move into announcements then. Who has some announcements or news to share?
Yeah, if you do have an announcement or news to share, just type your name in the chat and then we can, so anyone? Christina, okay, go for it.
Hi guys, I just wanted to let you guys know that we had a new cohort start last week. So cohort 6 for us, for the Tech Skills Initiative. And we have 18 learners this time around. And something different this time around is that the majority of them are women. So big shout out to that. Not to leave any guys out. But the other thing that I wanted to mention was that we partnered up with NICER for our mentorship program. So that was really exciting. I know I met Robin through Rainforest, and they're going to be matching mentors with past learners. So we're very excited about that. I'm in particularly very excited about that. And that's all my updates.
Nice, awesome, good to know. Any other announcements? So I dropped just a quick one. So we are gearing up to do scorecard again. It's a little later this year just because we are kind of, get Bridget on board and rethink how we're going to do things. At this point, just for those who are familiar with the process, there's still no summit planned or plans to do a summit. So if you are super keen on a summit, reach out to Bridget and myself and we can talk about making that happen. We're trying to negotiate COVID and I mean, really wanting to use people's time wisely and offer value. And at this point, just feeling like online summit isn't the best. However, we do recognize that the scorecard is a really important metric for the ecosystem. And so wanting to take that. So that will be coming out. And the other thing is for those really early stage entrepreneurs, just in terms of resources, the Libby Fund is going to be launching again in conjunction with Innovation Week in November. So what my ask for the community is I would like, if you would like to help review applications for the Libby Fund, I think I saw you do. If you want to help review applications for the Libby Fund, we are actually going to try to open it up to 25 ideas. So the program is going to look a little different this year. We're really just looking to help people with that early stage validation of their ideas. So again, we talk about opening the top of the funnel. Again, if we're moving towards 1,000 startups by 2031, here's our opportunity to get 25 up and off the ground. And so it's going to be a resource-driven kind of program, a 6-week program where we're giving entrepreneurs resources to do some of that early stage discovery validation and business model canvassing. So if you, like me, have an idea to, maybe I need to apply with my Hold project, right? My Hold music project. No. But if you know people who have ideas, or if you're, you're in conversation, and it's a really great way to get to know the startup community. Two, it's a really great way to kind of like, put some of those ideas like through the ringer and see like what comes out of the wash, right? So Libby Fund should be coming up as well. But again, my ask is if you want to review applications, please just reach out to me either on Slack or email. That would be great. Otherwise, I think we have 7 minutes. So the options are we can just like leave this room open, or we could do a breakout into chat rooms for the last 6 minutes.
Sorry, I have one more thing that I wanted to say. I forgot. Futurepreneur is offering 8 $10,000 scholarships. You don't need to apply through Futurepreneur at all. It's through RBC. It's sponsored through RBC. I'm going to send the link into the chat, and you don't need to apply to Futurepreneur in order to be eligible for the $10,000 grant. So there is 6 grants that are eligible between 18 to 29, one between 29 and 39, and another for I believe it is a person of minority. I don't have all of the details, but it is, I just shared under the link that I sent in. So please go on and learn more about how you can apply and take part in that, because it's free $10,000.
Courtney, can I say something about the podcast?
Yes.
So usually I plug the podcast, and I do obviously want to plug it again. So the Leaders, Innovators, and Big Ideas podcast for Rainforest Alberta. You can see it online at rainforestab.ca/podcast. But I want to twist it around and give you some interesting information. I had coffee with someone the other day, and we were talking about networking and how important it is to network. Not just, to find a job or whatever, but to grow your personal network, to be, part of the community and give back. And one thing that really interesting that came up was being a Rainforest Libby podcast host is actually a really cool opportunity to be able to talk to people that you wouldn't normally get a chance to talk to. So you can say, hey, I'm a host. Hey, Tiffany, it's great to meet you. I'm a host of the Rainforest podcast. Would you be interested in being on the podcast? And Tiffany's going to go, oh my goodness, thank you. Yes, I'd love to. And then we get a chance to sit down and have a chat together and get to know each other better. So then we grow our network by one person through a really great connection. So if you haven't hosted a Rainforest podcast before, or if you are interested in hosting more episodes, please reach out to me and we'll get that going. Thanks a lot, eh?
That's awesome, Al. I feel like I've been hosting my own internal podcast with all of the meetings I have had with some of you folks. We might as well give a shout out too to Edmonton Startup Week is next week, and being virtual, we all have access to it. Yay. And they have a really cool scheduling app where you can just pick and choose things and show up and come and go as if you were there in person. So that's pretty cool. And then next month, our turn. So I see events are starting to pop up on Startup Calgary's calendar for November, Calgary's Innovation Week, the 16th to the 20th. But from my understanding, that event list will just continue to grow over the coming week. So keep your eye on that.
For sure. Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining us today. A special thanks to Jenny and to Justin and to Tiffany for sharing. Just a reminder, these are just 3 of the resources that are available in the ecosystem. I really love that Justin highlighted his partnership with platforms, right? And so talking about how different groups are working with each other. I know I've been a guest speaker for Tiffany for Futurepreneur. So it really does take, again, like as Al talked about, building out of that network. And so really appreciate your time today. Next week, we're going to be digging into a little bit more later stage stuff. So we're going to be talking a little bit more about actually talking with investors. We can talk about some legal issues. So thank you for everyone for coming today. And I hope you can join us again next week. I will leave the room open just for a few minutes if anyone does need to connect. And there is a, Bridget has been posting the poll. As a co-host, I don't see it, the poll when it pops up. So I'm like, so yeah, if you have, if you can, take the poll on the exit poll on the way out. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Justin and